really appreciate that. With that, we'll be started with our first presentation, and that will be done by Kayla Chun.
Today I'm going to talk about Korea's investment environment to give you some idea of why you should consider Korea as your next investment destination, and also how we can support your company for your successful establishment in Korea. So first, let's take a look at Korea's economic indicators and FDI. So as you guys already know, Korea is a small country with a strong economy. It's only 100,000 square kilometers large, which is approximately 1/7 the size of Texas. We rank 15th for the nominal GDP with $1.3 trillion and 12th for GDP in terms of purchasing power parity. Korea had dramatic economic growth in the 1970s through the 80s, which was followed by the IMF in 1997. Now in the next stage of economic development, Korea is experiencing more stable economic growth and a continuously growing trade volume. Our GDP level recovered swiftly from the global economic recession in 2008. As you can see on the graph, the government debt has been steady over the past decade, and our import have been also at a stable stage. Putting the IMF foreign exchange crisis firmly behind it, Korea quickly became one of the world's largest holders of the foreign exchange reserves. As of last year, 2014, it reached $354.3 billion, surpassing those of other developed Asian economies, including Hong Kong, India, and Singapore. We are now one of the top economies in terms of exports. Korea is the 7th largest exporter globally, with our export volume showing an impressive 342% increase from 1996. And we are the 8th country to have our annual trade volume hit and exceed $1 trillion, and we have accomplished this mark for 4 years in a row since 2010. Now let's take a look at the Korea's FDI trend. Foreign direct investment in Korea has risen sharply, especially since the emergence of Korea's leading industries such as IT and telecommunication. According to the figures from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy of Korea, Korea received a record $19 billion in notified FDI in 2014. The arrived FDI reached over $11.5 billion in last year. More than 50% of this came from the European Union and the United States. Investors from both regions accounted for $10 billion of the notified FDI in 2014, followed by Japan with $2.6 billion. We'll take a look at the FDI by country. In more detail, the United States was Korea's largest investor country, accounting for 19% of our total inbound FDI. Japan, Netherlands, and Luxembourg are other major investors for Korea. Now, FDI by the industry. We received the most FDI in the service sector with about 22% of total inbound FDI, followed by the manufacturing. And within the manufacturing, it was the parts and material sector that received the majority of the investment. One of the major investment trends that we're seeing in Korea nowadays is the investment for the regional headquarters and R&D centers of foreign invested company is on the rise. Now let's talk about how to do business in Korea. The president and CEO of Volvo Construction Equipment, Martin Weisberg, said, quote, "Our Korea subsidiary is our road to Asia." Korea has numerous number of successful foreign invested companies growing with Korea's fast-growing economy. Here you can find many familiar global brand logos on the graph. We had more than 16,000 foreign invested companies in Korea as of last year, which is remarkable considering we only had 1,678 companies back in 1990s. That's about 10-fold increase in little over than 2 decades. Among those foreign invested companies in Korea, today there are many are globally recognized brands that started operations in Korea much earlier than anticipated. Acknowledged for Korea's huge growth potentials and geographical advantages, those companies select Korea as a strategic business expansion point since as early as the late 1960s. Starting with the IBM, invested in 1968, many top global corporations in electronics, automobiles, or fast-moving consumer goods have been in Korea for decades and grown its influence along with Korea's remarkable economic growth. Here's a success case. GE's investment is a good example of Korea attracting investment through efforts to create a favorable ecosystem for offshore plant industry and to improve investment environment. GE first established its Korean subsidiary, GE Korea, in 1976 and has undertaken various projects in areas such as healthcare, EPC, airline, shipbuilding, and offshore. In 2014, GE reported annual sales of $1.8 billion and over $1.4 billion, which comes from the manufacturing segments. It employs about 1,400 people and creates more than 200 jobs a year in Korea. The company's total investment to date have exceeded $3 billion. More recently, Korea successfully attracted additional investments from GE, which established the global headquarters of its shipbuilding and offshore division in Busan in May of 2013, and opened an education and training center in October of the same year. The GE Power Conversion Training Center in Busan has been developing a talent pool of experts The center is equipped with drill ships and LNG carrier simulators and specialized instructors and engineers. So how is it like doing business in Korea? According to the World Bank in 2014, Korea was ranked the 5th easiest country in the world for doing business. As you can see here, we're the 23rd in 2008, but have quickly approaching the top despite the impact of the 2008 global recession. We are the 3rd in the East Asia, the 4th among G20, and 5th in OECD countries. Now, Korea is one of the world's top economies and offers a safe and efficient business environment for both domestic and international corporations. Innovation is Korea's key to the future. In fact, we're the most innovative country in the world, according to the Bloomberg Global Innovation Index published in the January of 2014. We scored exceptionally high in this ranking of 215 countries for patent activity, manufacturing capability, high-tech density, tertiary efficiency, and R&D intensity. Korea is very proud to be known as the #1 country for shipbuilding. Hyundai Heavy Industry is the world's largest shipbuilder, and Samsung Heavy Industries is the 2nd largest shipbuilder in the world. As Korea is recognized as the #1 for flat panel display, mobile phone, and semiconductor as well. Korean companies are also growing in their global influence. 17 Korean companies were on the Fortune Global 500 in 2014, which shows that many Korean companies already have established strong infrastructure and networks for overseas operations, as well as the competitiveness against other global brands to attract international consumers. Korea has what it takes to be the global business hub. We're the only Asian economy with FTAs with the USA, EU, and China. In total, Korea has signed FTAs with 52 countries, which account for 73.5% of the global GDP. Amy Jackson, the president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Korea, said, quote, "Korea's huge advantage is the great infrastructure and dedicated workforce." Andre Northam, the president of Solvay Korea, said, quote, "Korean workers are diligent and flexible." As you can see, Korean labor turnover rate is considerably low compared to other major Asian economies such as China and Hong Kong. It's only 1-digit turnover rate, around 4% in 2012 and 2013. Now, let me introduce Invest Korea and explain how we can help you investing in Korea. Invest Korea is the national investment promotion agency for Korea, which is a sub-organization of KOTRA under the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy. Here you can see how Korea's foreign investment regime works and the major bodies that are involved. The FDI-inducing process begins with the central government, or the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy. The Korean government is committed to increasing FDI, and their efforts to providing foreign investors with better incentives and a better business environment are ongoing. The Foreign Investment Committee you see right below it is the highest decision-making body in regards to FDI in Korea. And finally, there's a KOTRA, Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency, that facilitates Korean economic development by promoting trade and investment. KOTRA has a worldwide network of 126 Korean business centers, also called KBCs, in 86 countries. And KOTRA Dallas that I'm working for is one of the 10 North American KBCs. So what we do here is Invest Korea carries out the strategies and policies set by the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy, and we work to attract foreign direct investment by providing supporting services. We offer a one-stop service that is completely free and extends from pre-investment all the way through the post-investment stage. During the pre-investment stage, we give potential investors with information on, for example, FDI incentives and the markets and the industry of Korea. It's a totally customized service. The experts at an investment consulting center or the ICC in our headquarters give one-on-one consultation on taxation, accounting and law, and also help you with visa application, business registration, every step of the investment process. In the investment stage, we help investors select business sites, find business partners, and also provide administrative support to help companies get their business started as soon as they can. In the post-investment stage, we help to resolve investors' issue while doing business in Korea. Invest Korea Plaza is one of the highlights of our service. As a part of Korean government's efforts to further improve the foreign investment environment, we provide a great first home for investors. Invest Korea Plaza is first business incubation complex in Korea for foreign investors. It offers furnished office and cutting-edge conference facilities at a low cost. Adjacent to the KOTRA headquarters building in Seoul, Invest Korea Plaza has 40 furnished rooms that are adjustable in its size to fit each company's needs. In addition, investors can enjoy on-site consulting service provided by the Invest Korea representative located at the lower level of the same building. We publish a monthly journal called Invest Korea Express to communicate with prospective investors worldwide, providing information on foreign investment in Korea. So if you're interested in subscribing this journal, please let me know. And for more information about our organization and services, you're welcome to visit our website at www.investkorea.org. And also, because you guys are here, don't forget to visit our booth at CC235 for more information. That finishes my presentation, and thank you so much for your time. Thanks.
So if I can ask, again, Joo-hyeon Baek to approach the podium. He's the Consul General of the Republic of Korea here in Houston, and I wish that you certainly accept my sincere apology for not having you as our opening address.
Good afternoon. This is my third visit of the state of Louisiana. It began early in 1990, and I visited New Orleans several months ago, and it's my third visit. And I worried about the heavy rain over the last week, but today was wonderful weather over in Louisiana. I'm so happy to see many guests and participants in the Korean sessions in this exhibition. Lafayette is in the very heart of America's energy corridor, with over 1,000 oil and gas industry companies calling it home. No wonder I could feel the strong pulse fueling global energy solutions throughout the Cajun Dome and Convention Center. It gives me great pleasure to attend the Louisiana Gulf Coast Oil Exposition, one of the largest oil and gas industry exposition in the US. And I'm particularly proud that proud and honored that this year the Expo will feature Korea for one of the international presentation sessions. Having a special session and being recognized as one of the worldwide leaders in the petroleum E&P sector, it demonstrates the industry's deep interest and support for a strong partnership with Korea, and I'm very excited about it. South Korea, as you may well know, has a strong economic and cultural connection to the sea. Korea is a prominent seagoing nation with worldwide leadership in shipbuilding, including E&P sphere of offshore sector. The three major shipbuilders of South Korea's $85 billion sector, Heavy Industry, Hyundai Heavy Industries, Samsung Heavy Industries, and DSME, dominate the industry as the world's largest and the most active in supplying highly sophisticated offshore equipment like FPSO and drillship. And when it comes to Gulf Coast region, home to one of the world's richest oil and gas resources, the presence of extraction, refining, and pipeline industries have been a powerful engine for economic growth that indeed made all the difference. So it is only natural that Korea and US companies can share prosperity by mutual cooperation. LAGCOE have been at the forefront of promoting this greater partnership between Korea and the US. This is an important forum for E&P industry leaders as it provides a wonderful opportunity to connect with Korea. And our two great nations share enormous potential to benefit each other. I appreciate your interest and participation in the Korea section titled Offshore Industry and Opportunity in Korea. Opportunities abound for U.S. oil and gas companies looking to make inroads into Korea's dynamic economy. As we welcome today's featured presentations by Ms. Kayla Chun from KOTRA, Dallas, a few minutes ago, and Mr. Kwangmin Im, Gwangyang Bay Area Free Economic Zone Authority. Maybe it's very difficult for the presenter to pronounce this name, but it is the southern port of Korea, Gwangyang. You will get an overview of the opportunities for economic growth and cooperation and get valuable information about unlocking opportunities and investment with Korea. I hope that you will enjoy this session, and thank you for the participation. Thank you so much.
Again, please accept my apologies for not recognizing you earlier. I think, what happens is when you see a room like this, and having worked with Kayla, and realizing it's exciting. I got excited along with you about getting this presentation going, and because she was excited about it, I'm excited about it. Can you imagine? I was a former executive in a billion-dollar company. I have 3 people to introduce, and I screwed that up. Go figure. So again, my apologies for that, Mr. Baek. I really do apologize. We do have, of course, one more presentation by Kwangmin. And if I say it quickly, I can probably get it out a lot better. It's kind of like saying some of the Cajun names. You try to say it very slowly, you mispronounce them. So quickly, it works much better. Of course, he's an investment expert from the Free Economic Zone Authority as well. He is an investment expert with the Gwangyang Bay Area Free Economic Zone Authority. He's prior to joining the team, he's a member of, oh boy, here we go, Tripitaka Koreana Global Cultural Festival. I'm sorry, I see you chuckling over there, but I'm doing my very best. He started in the University of British Columbia, earning a BA in linguistics. How ironic. He's working on linguistics, and I can't pronounce his name. I'm so sorry for that. But please welcome me to the podium. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. He mentioned my name wrong, but it's okay. Actually, nobody can say my name correctly for 30 years, actually. That was really weird. Okay, my name is Kwangmin. I'm a consultant of GFEZ. Today, I'm going to make a presentation on the Gwangyang Bay Area Free Economic Zone, Hadong District, which is going beyond Northeast Asia and developed into as a business hub of South Korea. This presentation starts with the general status of Gwangyang Bay Area Free Economic Zone, including the Hadong District, then follow with the development plans for each complex, the competitiveness of Hadong District, and investment incentives. To begin with, I'm going to introduce what GFEZ is and what it does. GFEZ actually stands for Gwangyang Bay Area Free Economic Zone. Gwangyang is the name of the city in Korea. You will know about that during my presentation. The Gwangyang Bay Area was designated as a free economic zone in October 2003. About 83.63 square kilometers area is being developed. 5 districts. There are 5 districts were designated, expanding across Hadong, Yeosu, Suncheon, and Gwangyang. The free economic zone has been developed into an international business hub for logistics, manufacturing, tourism, and education. Now for the general status of Hadong District. Hadong District contains 4 different complexes. The size of Hadong District is about 12.17 square kilometers. The main purpose of Hadong District is to establish a global cluster for the offshore plant industry, attracting shipbuilding, offshore plants companies, offshore plant educational facilities, and research institutes. The following are development plans for each complex. Depending on its nature, the Hadong District is being developed into 4 different complexes. Garsa Bay Area, Garsa Bay Shipbuilding Industrial Complex, Daesong Industrial Complex, and Do Leisure Complex, and Deokcheon Eco City. And there are 4 access roads currently under construction. They will provide a convenient transportation system connecting each complex. First, the Garsa Bay Shipbuilding Industrial Complex. It is being developed into a shipbuilding and offshore plant complex of 5.61 square kilometers. There will be 2 main institutes opening in Garsa Bay complex. One of them is KOTRA, which stands for Korea Shipbuilding and Offshore Research Institute. Its goal is to play as the global hub organization and leader in the integrity and system performance of ships and offshore installations against extreme and accidental events in association with fundamental research, higher education, and industrial applications. KOTRA is currently under construction, and it will be done by 2017. The main test facility is the fire explosion test facility. KOTRA insists that this facility is the biggest one in the world, but the truth is I don't know, actually. The doctor said it's the biggest one, and you can do whatever you want here, but people have been visit here, and they said, yeah, we're not so sure it's the biggest one or not. So The other one is the subsea test facility, which is capable of up to 825 bar test. Next, the University of Aberdeen, Korean campus. This university is originally from Scotland, well known in the field of offshore and petroleum programs. University of Aberdeen Korean campus will be opened in September 2016. There will be MSc and PhD programs such as petroleum, topside, and subsea, and also MBA and continuing professional development program will be offered. This campus can also provide professional manpower to the companies in the area. Next is the Daesung Industrial Complex. It is being developed into a manufacturing complex of 1.37 square kilometers for metal processed products and transportation equipment. The Do Leisure Complex, everyone needs a rest. You cannot just work all the time. So here it is. It is being developed into a tourism and leisure complex of 2.65 square kilometers. There are golf courses, hotels are currently under construction now. Lastly, the Dokcheon Eco City. It is being developed into a residential and business complex of 2.54 square kilometers. Right, the competitiveness of GFEZ Hadong. The excellent infrastructure for logistics and transportation system that I am really proud of what GFEZ has. Global Gwangyang and Hadong ports are logistic hubs connecting to China, Europe, the States, and Asia. And there is an airport, Yeosu Airport, within 30 minutes, and Gimhae International Airport within an hour. Actually, it takes 2 hours, but I don't know, it's maybe just typo. And KTX high-speed railway within 30 minutes, and Namhae Expressway within 5 minutes. The terms here, like Namhae and KTX, very rare to you. The KTX is the fastest train in Korea, and Namhae is the South Sea in Korea. So. Okay, next, the optimum industrial infrastructure. Logistics cost for raw materials can be reduced since POSCO Gwangyang Steelworks is nearby with the world's greatest steel production capability. Namgang Dam and Hadong Thermal Power Plant provide plenty of industrial water and stable electricity. There is an optimum industrial belt with 2 national industrial complexes and 10 regional complexes, including 650 companies, and 400,000 manpower available. I cannot list all the companies and complexes because it's too many. And lastly, a pleasant environment and stable supply of human resources. Hadong, Jinju, Sacheon, and Gwangyang is all the name of the cities. Have apartments with low rent fee. It's really cheap compared to state or Tokyo or Beijing. There are leisure and entertainment facilities around, and also 7 general hospitals within 30 minutes away. For education, more than 300 elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools altogether. Moreover, 13 colleges and universities are nearby, providing high-level education. As I mentioned earlier, the University of Aberdeen Korean campus will produce like 100 master's degree and 20 doctorate degree every single year. About 1 million employees in this area will provide a smooth supply of manpower too. And the most important part of my presentation is investment incentives. The characters are very small, so I'm just going over briefly like what we can provide here. The incentives for domestic companies will be a firm based on for your business. In addition to investment advancement funds, there are special support measures up to a total to $20 million. Incentives for foreign companies include 5 years extension of tariff and 3 years extension of corporate and income taxes, and 50% for the following 2 years, which total 7 years. And 15 years extension of acquisition and registration taxes. And property taxes are exempt for 7 years, and 50% for following 3 years, so total 10 years. Subsidies and financial support are also available for property purchase cost, employee training, facilities construction, and business consulting. Of course, there are other more incentives if you are interested in investing in Korea, this area, Gwangyang Bay. Just let me know. I will be happy to provide all the information you need. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you for being here. To me, and whether or not we pronounce cities correctly and names correctly, of course, is important. The most important thing is the idea that we have two countries that work very well together. We have people who are interested in becoming partners, and that we now have people here who are inviting us to their country to invest and to be a part of growth in their economy. And the fact of the matter is, we need help there as well as they need help here. So with that, what I'd like to do is open the most important part of this, and that's the question and answer session. I would encourage you to ask questions of our panelists, or even our guests. I'm sure we'll be more than happy to answer some questions as well. So do we have any questions on the floor? Please. Well, that's one thing I do prepare for.
Well, I have a question actually, and it gets down to almost simple terms of investment. But my first question is what areas of the oil and gas industry have the best prospects for investment partnerships with American companies in Korea right now?
I think that's open to any panelists.
Right. Are there any specific areas that Korea is interested in investment?
For offshore industry, Busan, typically southern region of Korea, they're specialized in bringing companies in terms of offshore industry. So Geoje, Busan, Hadong, Ulsan, those southern region of Korea, they're specialized for that industry.
Okay, thank you. And then what would be the, just in simple terms, if a U.S. company wants to do business in Korea, what are the most important things to know, just from in your opinion?
It depends if they're looking for investment as a business or doing a partnership selling products to Korean market. So if they're trying to sell the product to the Korean market, they have to understand the market, of course. Visible market study has to be done, which can be done through KOTRA. And also understand the logistics, how it works. Korea is definitely a different market compared to the US or the other major countries in the world. So it's very important to understand how the market is working in terms of logistics and the partner companies that will facilitate the US companies to sell their products in Korea. As far as investment goes, partner is another big thing that they have to find the right partner. That's the most important thing actually, if they're looking for a partnership. But for Greenfield, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy is definitely the good partner to start with to discuss about the land and all the incentives and what are the great perspective of doing business in Korea.
Thank you. Are there any local legal requirements for local ownership, or certain percentages of local ownerships in a joint venture in Korea?
there will be at least 30% of the shareholders that you have, then you can be as a foreign company to invest in Korea.
Great, thank you.
30%.
Yes, I'd like, before you and I kind of take charges, do we have any additional questions that may have been prompted to mind? I just have a follow-up to basically to David's question. This presentation was largely about, us, you importing or exporting, I guess, some of your services and that. Of course, we're here now in flux in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico, and we're interested in exporting some of our services and our products and manufactured goods. And we are, most of us, a lot of us here are very small business owners, including myself. Are there opportunities, or specific opportunities that you, as KOTRA, are looking for, or Korea in general is looking for that you may not have, a service or a product that the U.S. Oil and gas industry might provide, whether it's onshore or offshore or in support of anything else? Is there anything specifically that you may be looking for from the U.S. for help? I know it's a tough question. That's why I made it a long question to give you time to think. It's not an easy question.
Myself is specialized in investment, so as far as exporting products from here to Korean market, I'm not that of an expert, but still, I can do some research and get back to you with that good information. But at this point, I can't really think of any specific product that Korea is looking for in terms of purchasing.
My final question would be, it was something that was said earlier about GE having an education and training center, and who are you targeting with that training center? Is it I'm going to leave it at that. Who do you target to attend that training center?
That training center is for the engineers who's going to work in the Busan, their manufacturing facility. So it could be Korean engineers and also domestically dispatched staff from the GE as well. So.
Yeah, what's impressive about that, if you haven't attended this morning's session on international business, Eduardo Borja, who was in Mexico, had talked about being able to develop the new and young talent in Mexico. And it sounds like, and it appears that you're doing a phenomenal job of identifying young talent early to continue to move that knowledge base forward. So congratulations on doing that. Any other questions for our panelists for Korea? Yeah, David.
Well, I have another one. It's another kind of basic question, but Ms. Chun, you studied at UT Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
So, but you also have experience with it working with KOTRA. So I'm interested in what your perspectives are on the cultural differences between Americans and Koreans, and particularly with companies that may be looking to invest in Korea. If you've noticed any mistakes or things that they should not do culturally if they're looking to invest in Korea and to do it successfully.
As far as cultural differences go, there are definitely many differences between the here and then the Korea. And one of the things I personally experienced with Korean company doing business with American company is that the terms of contract is always changing from time to time. Koreans think that's something adjustable after they sign, but here in America, you sign something that's set, right? So those kind of things, there was one incident that, Korean company think that, we can at least come back to the contract and make some amendments later. But the American company says, we already signed the contract, everything's done. Why do you ask for amendments at this point? So there are some, those cultural differences that they try to overcome through time as they do business with the United States. So that's one of that. And the other cultural differences, it looks like Korea is changing very quickly and adapting many Western culture as well. So the youngsters specifically, they have a better understanding of Western culture in doing business as well. So it shouldn't be a big issue, later down in the future.
Thank you.
Great. On behalf of LAGCOE, the Louisiana Gulf Coast Oil Exposition, the great city of Lafayette, hopefully you have time to enjoy our culture here and spend some time in our local establishments and the like. We certainly would love to have you as our guest. Thank you. I would also, let me if I can ask Kwangmin to come up. I'd appreciate you coming forward for a second. I'd like to just give you a small token of appreciation for being here. and bearing with me for not pronouncing your name properly. That's why I wanted you first.
Okay, thank you.
If you just stay here, because I'm sure someone would like to take a photograph with us. And Kayla, if I can invite you up, I'd certainly appreciate it. You know, I've worked closely with Kayla in putting this together, and she is just phenomenal. She put up with a lot of my email rhetoric back and forth. But thank you as well for presenting and being here. And more so customary in the United States, we normally hold the dignitary for last. We hold the dignitary for last because he is the most important person and the highlighted person that actually pulls this together. And that's why we have you, this next gentleman, of course, Mr. Baek, who is the Consul General of the Republic of Korea of Houston. Saved him for last because he is the most important person in the Korean delegation who's actually working very hard to pull together everything he can for the economic development of Korea and working closely with the United States. So, Mr. Baek, if I could ask you to come forward, I would like to give you a small token of our appreciation. Yes, sir, please. And I'm sure we have a camera someplace. Would you mind taking a photograph of us, please? Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it. Can I take a picture with you guys? Someone have a camera in my head? There's a camera there. Can I get, whoop, let's get you on the side.
Oh, yeah, we'll go like this. Maybe.
There we go. And then I'll have you guys take one together. Excellent. Let me step away. I'd like to have one with just these three, if you don't mind. No,
Okay.
please, no. One more.
Yeah.
There we go. Don't need me in it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, and certainly thank you to each and every one for being here. Have a great day.